On February 1st, 2024, the EU will hold a special summit. The main issue is additional aid to Ukraine for 4 years. After the end of EU leaders' talks in the mid-December 2023, European Council President Charles Michel said that Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban had blocked the allocation of 50 billion euros of support to Ukraine. The Financial Times has reported that the EU is preparing a backup plan of aid to Ukraine, which does not require Budapest's consent, just in case Hungary's veto cannot be overcome at the special summit in February.
Countries turn to the European Commission and give it guarantees to attract money on international financial markets. Roughly speaking, on behalf of the member states of the European Union, the European Commission, as a first-class borrower, enters the market of international finance and actually receives loans there. These loans are transferred to Ukraine on certain terms, but it's not given under the guarantees of the European Union, but precisely under the guarantees of individual EU member states. This scheme allows to involve the majority of member states on bilateral basis.
This approach would provide Kyiv with up to 20 billion euros in aid and would not require the approval of all 27 EU member states, which means that it would bypass Hungary's veto. Brussels will decide early next year whether to provide Ukraine with support, the deputy head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, Igor Zhovkva, has said. According to him, the European Union has several options for resolving the issue.
For example, in terms of the use of the overall budget of the European Union, it is not just about Ukraine, it is about changes to the EU budget. This is the first option. If it fails, there is another option: bilateral agreements. For example, the work of the donor platform continues, where our officials work together with the European Commission. I am sure that there will be a technological solution and this money will appear very soon. Igor Zhovkva, deputy head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, in an interview with the Interfax Ukraine agency.
The EU and the UK have called for increased support for Ukraine. UK Defense Secretary Grant Shapps is convinced that the West cannot allow Russia to defeat Ukraine.
We are talking first of all about the fact that receiving such assistance will be a very important political signal to Ukraine's partner countries outside the European Union, to the United States of America and to Russia itself. On the one hand, and on the other hand, if we are talking directly about Ukraine, it is clear that today we are fighting a murderous war. We are losing people, we are losing our economic potential, and without such assistance it will be very difficult for us to ensure what is called the resilience of the Ukrainian economy.
Ukraine is a part of Europe and its security is the part of European security architecture. The head of the European Commission's representation in Austria, Martin Zellmer, has said, in his opinion, the process of Ukraine's accession to the European Union may take 6 to 11 years.
Accession negotiations are a concrete promise to become a permanent member of the European family. However, this requires moving towards the EU. Turkey has distanced itself from the EU. In contrast, we see Ukraine at the heart of the Union. Negotiations with it are part of our security architecture. Europe must not return to the dark days of the 19th century, when an aggressor invades its neighbor to annex land. Martin Selmayr, head of the European Commission delegation in Austria, in an interview with the Kleine Zeitung newspaper.
In December 14, 2023, the President of the European Council, Charles Michel, announced the start of EU accession talks with Ukraine and Moldova. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Yulia Bil, UATV News.